So the next PlayStation is reportedly going to cost at least $1,000 in 2028, whenever it actually comes out. And this is after Sony just jacked the prices of the PlayStation 5 because they know that they're still a few years out from another console. And they're going by what the current price of RAM is. That is my understanding for why the consoles are going to cost so much. But wait, maybe they won't after all, because OpenAI might have just popped the AI bubble. Sam Altman apparently promised to buy a bunch of RAM, and he is not buying that RAM. So now it's sending the cost of RAM prices tumbling. And, maybe we'll be able to upgrade our gaming PCs again, right? That would be great. I'm sitting on stacks of RAM. I think I told people before we had an esports gaming center retro arcade for about 5 years. And I kept some of the PCs and I stripped them for parts. And I've got like stacks and stacks of RAM here just in case the world burns. But let's talk about all this. So before you get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. This is Kneon. This is CLOWNFISH TV. And this is way too much for a gaming console. So we'll talk about the price of the PS6 first, and then we'll talk about why that might not actually be the case if RAM prices continue to fall. So this is coming from, ironically enough, pure Xbox. $1,000 consoles will be the new norm. Analysts discuss the cost of the PS6 and the next generation of Xbox. So they said shortly after the announcement of the PS5 price hike, the folks over at Games Radar spoke with various analysts about where the industry is headed and what next-gen console prices could look like. Here's what industry researcher Joost van Drunen had to say in the matter. We're quickly moving toward a world in which a $1,000 console will be the norm, and console gaming will become a luxury expenditure. I predict that the next generation of console hardware will start at a 50% higher price point than the current one did. Now, this is a problem because the video game industry is not in a very good place right now. And if the barrier to entry is $1,000 or more for a console, and consoles are cheaper to buy than a gaming PC, well, I think a lot of people are just going to stick with the hardware they have, whether that's a PC or a console, or go back to retro gaming or something. $1,000 for a console is way too damn much money. So he went on to say that the console makers don't want to raise prices on their hardware because that part is usually a heavily subsidized part of the equation. Yeah, the goal since the Nintendo days, the goal has been to get the consoles into as many homes as possible and to make your money on the software side, right? Such costs are becoming normal due to the volatile nature of the market. Of course, Microsoft's move toward a PC console hybrid with Project Helix means that heavy subsidizing might not even be part of Microsoft's plans anyway. That's another pointer toward expensive next-gen consoles if it plays out that way. So Circana's Matt Piscatella is a little more cautious when it comes to $1,000 console pricing. Could we see $1,000 pricing? Yes, that's possible. Sure, it's possible. Would really hate to see that, but it's possible. Could it be 2027? Maybe. Could it be 2028? Sure. Why not? I do not think that current market conditions allow for much certainty at all in the hardware market. Hopefully the conditions improve. They could get worse. Who knows? So we're going to go into what is going on right now with RAM and Sam Altman, who I think Sam Altman, if the AI bubble bursts, he is going to be the critical point of failure. He's going to be the guy. He's going to be the guy who has the pin who pops the bubble. Because OpenAI, there are a lot of problems here. So Sam Altman's OpenAI may have caused the worst consumer hardware crisis with purchase orders that were never real. This is coming from the Times of India. A Twitter user claimed that Sam Altman-led OpenAI may have played a key role in a sharp rise in global memory prices, sparking debate online. Sharing the post, user Akash Gupta said OpenAI may have caused the worst consumer hardware crisis in a decade with purchase orders that were never real. In the post, he alleged that non-binding agreements signed by OpenAI for large volumes of DRAM chips led markets to react as if real orders had been placed. While claims have not been officially confirmed, it comes at a time when memory prices have seen sharp fluctuations and the AI industry continues to drive demand for high-performance hardware. In the post, Gupta says that OpenAI signed letters of intent with Samsung and SK Hynix for 900,000 DRAM wafers per month that he claims are account for 40% of the global supply. And we know what happened. A lot of, I think Micron shut their consumer RAM down because they all thought, oh, Sam Altman's going to take care of us. We don't have any RAM left over to sell to consumers, so we're not going to sell it to anybody outside of these mega trillion-dollar AI companies, and it's all a bunch of bullshit. Those deals were letters of intent, not binding purchase orders. No RAM actually changed hands, but the market treated them as real. He said DDR4 kits that should have been in oversupply doubled. Retailers stopped posting prices entirely. Yeah, RAM went from like, a couple $100 to like $1,200 in a month. It was all fake. The user also cited the ambitious data center project Stargate, which he claims got canceled because OpenAI couldn't forecast its own demand. OpenAI just shut down Sora, and it only had like 500,000 users. I mean, it's kind of crazy. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on right now with OpenAI, and everybody's kind of looking at them as being the industry leader because everybody knows ChatGPT. It's become ubiquitous, with AI. Like everybody knows ChatGPT, and it's very possible that OpenAI blows itself up in the next year because they're spending too much money, or they're going to get acquired by Microsoft or something. It said Oracle couldn't agree on financing. The partners are squabbling, talking about Stargate. So here's what the user wrote explaining how OpenAI caused the worst consumer hardware crisis. In October 2025, Sam Altman flew to Seoul, Korea, and signed simultaneous deals with Samsung and SK Hynix for 900,000 DRAM wafers a month. That's 40% of the global supply. Neither company knew the other was signing a similar commitment at the same time. Oh, that's interesting. The pricing and terms would have looked very different if they had. Those deals were letters of intent, not binding purchase orders. It's the same thing that NVIDIA did to them, isn't it? Remember, they're like, oh, NVIDIA's going to pump $100 billion into it, into us. And then the CEO of NVIDIA is like, the fuck we are. It's like, we'll give you something, but we're not giving you $100 billion. No RAM actually changed hands in the market. The market treated it as real. Contract DRAM prices jumped 171%. A 64 gig DDR5 kit went from 190 to 700 in 3 months. DDR4 kits that should have been in oversupply doubled. Retailers stopped posting prices entirely. Stargate expansion got canceled because OpenAI couldn't forecast its own demand. Bloomberg reported the $500 billion project hadn't started and no funds were raised to meet the initial budget. Multiple data center build-outs are delayed or shelved. Now, DDR5 prices are finally dropping for the first time in months. It has nothing to do with OpenAI walking away from anything. Google released TurboQuant on March 24th, a compression algorithm that cuts AI memory requirements by 6 times. SK, Hynix, and Samsung stock dropped 6% and 5% overnight. Corsair kits fell from $60 to $100 from their highs within days. One company locked up 40% of global memory with commitments it may never fulfill. A different company published a research paper. The research paper is doing more for RAM prices than the entire supply chain has done in 6 months. So this is just a couple of minutes ago. This might force Micron to bring back the crucial consumer products just to offset their horrid stock. I mean, look at this. Yeah, because they were going all in on selling to OpenAI or another AI company, and now it's just like it's all dropping. It's all dropping off the cliff. It's over. So maybe the console prices will come down, but really, I think what the price of the consoles are about right now, and same with the PS5, is that Sony has had a lot of major misfires lately, including Concord, and people are calling it the Concord tax. They have to make up that deficit. So they're going to start gouging people with the console prices. Most people that want a PS5 already have a PS5, right? So the only people you're going to hit up with these ridiculous prices are the newbies, the people that don't have a PS5 yet. And there's no incentive for them to buy one. There really isn't. Like, for that kind of money, just go buy yourself a cheap gaming PC, right? You're going to get more bang for the buck than you're going to get from the PS5. And especially at, what was it, like $900 or something for the Pro? That's insane for a console. So that's what I think this is about. It's raising the temperature. We see it all the time with consumables. You use a crisis to justify a massive price hike, and then you bring the price down a little bit. but you're still at a higher price point than you were before the alleged crisis. And this happened with gasoline. And I remember exactly when it happened. It happened with Hurricane Katrina in 2006, because at that point, most of us were paying like $1.50 to $2 a gallon for gas, unless you're in like California or something. And then Hurricane Katrina, they're like, oh, guys, we got to raise gas prices. You know, it's horrible. And, gas skyrocketed. It was like $4 and something. And then it came down to like $3 something, and it just kind of stayed there for a while. So we basically doubled the cost of gas. We shocked people with the price hike, and then we made it more palatable by dropping that. Same thing is going to happen with consoles. We're going to, the prices are going to skyrocket. Then when we bring them down a little bit, it's going to be like, well, $850 for a console is not terrible. I'm like, let me remind you, in previous generations, the console prices always went down when the console was 5 years old. I'm just saying. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up, guys. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.